Good afternoon, welcome to Drive Tuesday. David Barr here. State elections coming up. It's going to be quite exciting. It's going to be very close, I think, and there's quite the prospect of a hung parliament. I've got on the line Joeline Hackman, and she's the Teal candidate for the state seat of Manly. Hi, Joeline.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. So, Joeline, why did you do this? Why do you stand to become an MP in Manly?
I'm standing for a state election in Manly because I want more firm action on climate and more integrity in politics. And rather than have someone that's padlocked to Perrottet and beholden to the Nationals, I really believe that people of Manly want an independent to represent them.
I mean, there's quite a tradition of independence in Manly. There's been independence from 1991 till 2007. 16 years there was independent members. So that's quite a long time. And before that, there'd been an independent. At that time, it was a Liberal Party MP who didn't get pre-selection. So he stood as an independent and he won. And his name was Derby. That's going way back. So do you find that there's much of a vibe about the things you stand on in Manly?
Well, yes, there is a history of independence in Manly, and I'm so proud of what they've been able to achieve. Your good self, as well as Dr. Peter McDonald, have been able to listen to the community more than ever before, because it actually puts the people first and their best interests at heart, rather than needing to be beholden to parties or any other relationships or vested interests. From what I'm hearing on the street, when I'm door knocking, and from our volunteers who are out there every day, there is a huge appetite for independent representation. I think we've seen the Barralaro jobs for mates and all sorts of dodgy deals with the bushfires only going to Liberal seats. The people are really fed up, and they're searching for someone who will actually be their voice in Parliament.
Yeah, I find the John Barralaro thing quite bizarre. He was in court last week arguing that he had mental health issues as a means to defend his the fact that he assaulted a cameraman. But at the same time, he was putting his hand up to become the CEO of Clubs New South Wales. I find that bizarre.
Yes. And I'm coming out with an integrity policy in the next couple of weeks, and it will have a look at those kinds of relationships about leaving politics and then going straight into one of the lobby groups, and making sure that there is a healthy gap in between that, because it can be an intense job, and I think that there should be very clear demarcations between private roles and public service ones.
Yeah, the so-called revolving doors, whereby a minister or someone who works for a minister then goes to work for the private sector straight away, carrying with him or her all the knowledge and all the secrets, so to speak, of government and what goes on. It's not healthy.
No, and I think that we do need to be sure that there are no conflicts of interest. I am standing because I want to serve the community, and my history has shown that I care about the community and I'm willing to do it for free. So it's an absolute privilege to be able to get out there and be that voice for people that want representation, that has integrity, that really puts climate front and centre, and also cares about the economy. A lot of people are really hurting with the cost of living just increasing, and we saw today with the interest rates increasing again. There's a lot of people that really need their voice represented in Parliament and to make tangible impacts on their everyday lives. And I'm ready to be that person.
Yeah, I guess interest rates is more a federal issue, but still it impacts on state matters. Now, what are the really hot issues at the moment?
Well, it's always been the environment and action on climate, because we are hearing, people know that there's a lot of greenwashing going on. We know what our emissions targets are, and we can see that the current government is acting in a way that is completely opposite. So you can't meet your emissions reductions target while you continue to approve new coal and gas projects. And 19 of those have been approved just in the last term of government. So climate and the environment is huge. It's number one. Integrity. People are so frustrated by the lack of integrity in our leaders that they are really wanting more transparency in government and more accountability and transparency around the spending, particularly. I mean, if we look locally at the Northern Beaches Hospital, I'm not sure if your eastern suburbs people know this, but our private-public partnership hospital up there was paid for with taxpayer funds to the tune of $1.2 billion. And that was leased out to the owners of the Healthscope by a contract for $1 per year in a Cayman Islands offshore fund. So that's $1.2 billion of public money that is being redirected out to the Cayman Islands, and people here are furious about that. So integrity is absolutely top of it. And yes, absolutely, cost of living is huge, and I have some ideas about how to implement some savings there and affect people's everyday lives. And other community issues that are local, like transport and pokies, are really frustrating our community.
Yeah, transport's always an issue, isn't it?
Absolutely, it touches people's lives every day. We've just gone back to school, and people have just gone back to school, kids have gone back, and their parents are telling me that they've needed to stop work and go back and collect their kids because they're waiting for more than 60 minutes to get a bus. So those things really impact people's lives, and that's the kind of intervention that I could make at a state level.
Now, what about poker machines? That's all the go at the moment.
Yes. Well, I've been having many policy briefings with the people who are most affected by this, and what is really disgusting is that Australia has 0.5% of the world's population, yet we have 20% of the poker machines.
Yeah, we punch above our weight there, Joeline.
Oh, right. So
that's my joke.
So America has guns and we're overwhelmed by that, but they are overwhelmed by the density of our poker machines. And New South Wales...
There's certain parallels there, aren't there?
Yeah, and New South Wales has half of the poker machines of all of Australia, so the density is far too high, and it also has a social impact. I'm not sure if this has been in the media over the last few days, but Wesley Mission tell me there's research out of Victoria that says for every $1,000 that gets put into a poker machine, there's a $7,000 social cost. So those costs are domestic violence, homelessness, mental health burdens. It really is untenable to continue the way that we are, but I'm not sure that Perrottet goes far enough.
Okay, he's on the front page of the Herald today with what looks like a good story for the government, that cashless cards will be phased in over 5 years. That's really important, isn't it? That's quite significant.
I think it's a seismic shift, and I really do applaud him because it must have taken a lot of fortitude to stand up to the lobby groups. I really admire what he's done, but I don't think that it's fast enough. And I do think that we need additional reforms to make sure that gambling harm is minimised on our community. Things like powering down pokies after midnight and making sure that we have transparency in the gambling data from each venue, because we need to know what the data is. You need to know how to act based on what you measure. So we need more transparency. Also, I don't know if you know this, but at the moment, if you exclude yourself from a pub because you don't want to go near the pokies, you can only exclude yourself from about 20 venues. So all you do is jump in an Uber and go somewhere else. I'd really like to make sure that we have an independent, statewide self-exclusion register so that gambling harm can very much be minimised on our community.
Yeah, because there's two aspects to this. One is, as the New South Wales Crime Commission pointed out, there was a lot of money laundering going through the poker machines, and that, from the point of view of pubs and clubs, is legally untenable. But the second aspect is the damage done to people through gambling addiction, and that is morally untenable. I mean, I don't see how they have a leg to stand on, to be honest.
I agree, and I think while Dom Perrottet has been very brave in standing up to the clubs and pubs lobby groups, I do think that he signals to those people who do money laundering, those criminals, that, guys, you've got 4 years to go ahead and do as much as you can, because then we're going to shut the system down. I think it needs to be much faster.
Okay, your fellow independent candidates, Jackie Scrooby from Pittwater and Victoria Davidson Lane Cove, they have said that they will make, if in the event of a hung parliament, they would make gambling reform measures a condition of support for whoever wants to form government. How do you feel about that?
I mean, that's what they've said, and I respect their choice.
Okay. It is quite possible, it's perhaps even probable, that there'll be a hung parliament. It's difficult to see how the government could not lose some seats, but it's difficult to see how Labor could win enough seats to push it over to govern in its own right. So in the event of a hung parliament, do you have a formula, or you played by ear, or what?
Well, I have to say I have kept the 26th of March free, just in case we do need to do any negotiating. That's being hopeful. But at the moment, we don't know what's going to happen. We have absolutely no idea. So we will cross that bridge when we come to it. But I certainly know that if elected and my community thinks that I'm going to be the best person to be their voice in Parliament, I will certainly be putting the issues that are very important to them on the table, and I'll be working with whichever government is going to agree to some of the requirements that my community wants.
Okay, PEP 11's another big issue, isn't it?
Yes.
So where do you stand on that? That's the gas exploration issue whereby two companies, I think it's called Asset Energy and another oil and gas company, want to get licenses to explore, I guess, for a 2-year term in a 4,500 square kilometre piece of the ocean off the northern beaches heading up towards Newcastle.
Correct. Yes, they want to drill at 25 k's off the coast between Manly and Newcastle. And it's quite frustrating because this has been a bit of a political football at the federal level, and it was Scott Morrison swearing himself in as a secret minister that has caused this to appear before the courts again last week. So we had anticipated that this might become an issue because we saw that it was listed for that hearing. And behind the scenes, I have been working with some people who feel very strongly about PEP 11 and making sure that there is no offshore drilling off our coast. And we've been working on legislation that is going to stop it from advancing and to make sure that we stop any offshore drilling for gas or oil for good. It needs to be dead in the water. The community has been quite clear about it, and we feel that it should be a state issue. It's a state environment issue, and my community clearly says that they do not want any more coal or gas projects approved. So I will absolutely be fighting to make sure that that does not happen. And Surfrider and Northern Beaches have been advocating for this for quite some time. So has Nolly Stegel, and I know Northern Beaches Council has as well. I just find it a complete waste of resources that this is back on the table again. But the state independents are working together to make sure that it gets knocked on the head at the state level forever.
Yeah, the impression I have is that the federal government is taking it back to the start of the process because it needs to be seen to be legally above board, so to speak, which it wasn't before. So before they can make a determination. So they're not sort of saying they would approve it, but they have to, in a bureaucratic sense, be careful about how they go about this.
It is procedural because of Scott Morrison's intervention, so they do need to go through the process. However, we've seen just before Christmas developments get approved that completely fly in the face of the rhetoric that the current New South Wales government has been saying. So having Santos drill 850 gas wells out in Narrabri, that proceeded to the next stage of development. We've got an inappropriate development happening up at Belrose, where 45 football fields of trees, of pristine bushland on culturally significant First Nations land it went through to the next stage of development. So while it is procedural about stopping offshore drilling, I have I do not have complete trust that it is going to be the right moral choice. So I'll absolutely continue fighting for it until it's a clear legislative no.
Okay, now we're talking matters water and beaches. An issue that's just coming up now and across the Sydney beaches is the issue of cabanas on the beach. What do you reckon?
Well, this could decide the election, really, couldn't it, David?
That's right.
You never know. I mean, what is it? Is it blue and white stripe or is it teal and white stripe? I'm not sure.
Teal.
I mean, I'm not sure really what the question is, but I absolutely love them because they prevent skin cancer. And the temperature is heating up, and I'm really proud of people seeking cover.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think the issue is that they clutter up the beach and they're taking over the beach, so to speak. So I think the issue becomes, should there be areas set aside for them, leaving some of the beach still pristine, so to speak?
I mean, there could be better organisation, sure, and maybe that's something for a community forum to discuss. But I tend to follow the science and listen to the community, and I think they're saying they don't want to get skin cancer. So perhaps there's better organisation where the cabanas go at the back and people without the cabanas go at the front. I'm not sure. But, yeah, I'm really proud of people not getting skin cancer.
Okay, now, the other day, dusky whaler, a species of shark, was actually in the enclosed swimming area in Manly Cove. So it had got through the net. Now, we net the beaches, but it's kind of random, and it certainly doesn't, the whole beach is not netted off, so sharks can and other fish can easily get past anyway. So the argument against nets is that they sometimes catch other sorts of fish and kill them, like, well, dolphins, not a fish, but turtles and that sort of thing. So there are certainly people who say we should stop netting the beaches. What do you think?
I am absolutely for the removal of shark nets. I think it is very old technology and we have better science available right now. I know that 85% of shark interactions in Sydney metro area actually occur at beaches with shark nets. So shark nets are not a very effective way of stopping sharks. We already do have many beaches that have drone surveillance and drum lines and also having surf lifesaving patrol. And as you might have seen, there were 4 bull sharks in Shelley Beach recently who were chasing a dolphin. And the way that we're identified is the surf lifesaving people and looking at a drone and notifying people on the beach to get out of the water. So the cost benefit of having shark nets is just way too high. There's so much bycatch in there. It's terrible for the animals. It's not an effective safety measure for humans. And we have better technology. We have drones and better education. And, I know that Northern Beaches Council have a year ago, along with Lane Beachley and some other local organisations, agreed to remove it. What we're waiting for is the Department of Planning, Innovation and Environment and the Department of Fisheries to just have the political will to change and understand that the technology is better now, and we've got to follow the science and implement it. Now,
Joeline, after this, are you going door knocking?
Well, after that chat about sharks, I'm actually thinking about going for a quick surf.
Well, I envy you there because I'm here in Paddington. Look, Joeline, I wish you all the best. It's been lovely talking.